And joining me now, Dan Ives, Wedbush's global head of technology research. It's nice to have you as well. Anything at stake tonight?
Look, I think this is big tech just further embracing Trump. And I think when you think about this AI arms race, you need to be closer to Trump. Something obviously Cook found out. Now you see, those relationships is back in good standing. And I think it's new rules of the game, whether it's a pay for play like AMD or NVIDIA. But this is the time to embrace Trump, especially given what we see with AI going global, especially when it comes to tariffs and others. You need to be on the right side of that.
Yeah, I mean, you have a list today, a roadmap, if you will, into the end of the year for the names related to AI that you think are going to be the biggest winners. When you talk about software, now I'm not talking about super large cap names yet, like a Microsoft, for example, which I know you like, and it's one of your top ideas along with Alphabet, Palantir and MongoDB. You know, it's interesting, Dan, I spent some time today on Halftime talking about the software haves and the software have-nots. MongoDB, we saw in their earnings report recently, and the stock rise after was dramatic. And everybody knows what's happened with Palantir. But what continues the story from here into year end, despite what's already been a great move?
Yeah, Scott, it's use cases, use cases, use cases. Because the AI use cases, that's why Palantir is the gold standard. That's why you see MongoDB. You look at Snowflake, because it goes back to, it's a have and a have nots. And I think the consumption models, they're going to continue to gain more and more traction. The street continues to underestimate, I think, this software trade. Look, but you saw with Benioff, being on the wrong side of it. I do believe that, they'll get back to, their sea legs in terms of what we see in AI. There will be Salesforce, others on the wrong side of it. The right side is Palantir, Mongo.
Since you mentioned Salesforce, what jumped out to me is, as brightly as your jacket, is you still have an outperform on CRM. And you have a price target of $425. Now, I want you to look at me with a straight face and speak to my viewers and tell them why in the world Dan Ives has an outperform and a 425 price target on a stock which you just described as being on the outside looking in.
Yeah. Look, they're in the out today, but the reason it's not just a 425, it's a top pick. It's on my AI 30 because I believe it's about the install base. I mean, Benioff, look, have they been late to the game? Yeah. Have execution been bumpy? And I think they've underestimated the biggest transformation to tech that we've seen in the last 40 years. But when it comes to what they're rolling out in terms of their software suite, when it comes to AI, when it comes to agents, when it comes to what I believe is probably one of the best install base in the world, it's very similar to our bullish view on Oracle. That was bumpy, and look where they are now. And that's why Salesforce is not just bullish, it's on our Ives AI 30. I believe they will be a benefit, especially as Benioff now turns us around.
Well, first of all, they're spending a lot of money, obviously, and you don't see in any way their SaaS model being wholly disrupted by AI in and of itself. Some SaaS seems to be under serious question, others does not.
Yeah, look, I think 10 to 15% of it is under what I'll call disruption. But Scott, my view is that this is, when I think about the transformational opportunity, I mean, this is essentially creating the next growth frontier for Salesforce in terms of just really an AI platform across the, what I read is across the best install base on a software.